He's not here yet. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you all early and so excited and enthusiastic, as is our tradition at this moment. If I can request Penny from OPOC Pacific Forum to offer a few words of grace to kick us off.
Thank you, Ambassador Prasad. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with humility, with your grace and your love. We're so fortunate to be here this morning, here, miles away from home, and doing work that will hopefully benefit our people. We are so grateful to you for everyone else from other regions that are here with us to have this conversation. We ask for your blessings, your guidance, your heavenly divine on our leaders to lead us as we navigate through the difficult waters here within the COP process. We give you back the glory and the honor. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to this session, OPOC session on accelerating ocean action for climate building and trying to establish a sea lane between COP28 and COP31 to give the Pacific's leaders and ocean leaders space and time to develop and launch bold initiatives to tie and integrate ocean efforts across the vast Blue Pacific together. It is, I will introduce the speakers as we go. Very distinct honor to have a fantastic opening address by none other than President Whip, Palau, global ocean champion, a Blue Pacific's leader, and a leader who leads by ocean example, a leader who inspires the rest of the Blue Pacific and lifts the ambition of the Blue Pacific, but as he does so, lifting the ambition of the whole of the ocean world. President Whip Jr., my distinct honor to invite you to open our session this morning. President Whip.
I had talking points, but I left them. So we'll just talk, right? But thank you, Ambassador. And of course, it's great to be up and bright and early. And that's what, in Palau, we have a saying, the early birds catch the worms. So we'll kick this off, first of all, by thanking everyone for being here and really understanding, I'm preaching to the choir. Everyone here understands the importance of oceans and why we need to continue leading the way in the Pacific. 2 days ago was, I think, a defining moment for the Pacific. It was the opportunity for all of us in the Pacific to demonstrate to the world that we want to unlock this Blue Pacific and really show the world that we're committed. We're committed to ocean protection. We're committed to developing food systems that are resilient, that really benefit the people. And, it's a journey that we're on. We're still at the beginning of it. But it is, to me, telling the world that this is what the Pacific is committing to, even though we are the ones that suffer the most from the world's addiction to fossil fuels. We are taking action, right? And the action that we're taking is not just to benefit our people, but it's to benefit the planet. And the action that we're taking is about our children, and we need the world to understand that we are all connected, and we need them to take the same action. We know that many times we're, I think, just my observation, the ocean is not the center of attention. It's the forest, it's everything else. But the oceans were kind of forgotten. And Ambassador Thompson, I think they think of them as garbage dumps. We just put everything into them and they'll just flush them away, and that's and then if we need something, let's just go loot it. And I think that's really the conversation we need to have, and we need to change. And we need them to understand that they need to invest in the oceans. It was great to hear President Macron give 100 million to PNG for the lungs of the planet, right? But last time I checked, the ocean produces 50%, more than 50%. So that's the other half of the lung that needs to be addressed. And COP31, we are hoping that it happens in Australia. And that's so important because it brings attention to the Pacific. It brings attention to the most vulnerable and who are getting impacted the most. Yesterday I was at the IRENA conferences and chairing and listening to our Minister of Finance from Tuvalu, just sharing life in Tuvalu. And life in Tuvalu is the same on every small island in the Pacific, from sea level rise to shortage of water. And then, those of us that are in typhoon alleys get hit with storms. And then on top of that, we depend on tourism, and impacts our tourism and our food source. So this is what we're living already. And I've been to these conferences, and they talk about blue carbon, or they talk about financing, and we're ready to help you. Plant more mangroves, and we'll give you money. So I said, this was at the last COP, and I was having a conversation with the group, and I said, well, I have a great idea. Now that the price of fuel has gone up, I'm going to cut down all my mangroves and turn them into firewood, and then start replanting them so I can get some money. Right? Isn't that a great solution? Okay? Or I have an even better one. I'm just going to scrape up the whole ocean floor and go crazy on deep sea mining because, I need money. And then that way maybe you'll help me stop doing it. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. That shouldn't be the conversation. The conversation is we want to protect biodiversity. We want nature-based solutions. This is what we want, and we need to partner and we need to invest in these solutions. When we talk about the sea lane between COP28 and 31, it's about bringing attention to the oceans, showing the world that this is how the ocean can continue to keep the planet healthy. And these are the things that we are doing. Everything from, I've been sharing throughout COP, the parrotfish story, the rock crushers that make sure that our islands stay intact. Those are the stories that we need to share with the planet. So, it's great to be here, and I'm not going to talk any longer because we have a lot of panelists that are going to share. But thank you. Let's continue to work together to help the world understand the importance of protecting our oceans, as they are a healthy ocean is a healthy planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those powerful and, yes, always inspiring words. And now it's my great honor to invite the Pacific's leader of ocean, the Pacific Ocean Commissioner, Dr. Filimon Manoni, to introduce a concept on how he thinks a sea lane around the protection and conservation of the Blue Pacific could be framed between now and COP31. Commissioner Manoni, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Ambassador. And good morning to all of you here today. Excellency, Mr. President, Ministers, Minister for Niue, as well as Costa Rica. We deliberately invited our friend from Costa Rica as the co-host for UNOC 3. So good to have you here with us. And of course, the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for the Oceans, Ambassador Thompson, and our very own Secretary General Henry Puna for the Pacific Islands Forum. But I wanted to, first of all, just take a moment to thank the panelists and all of you for being here today. Very early in the morning, I think, much more energized at this time of the day. So we wanted to bring all of you with all of your faculties still intact before the day runs over. So thank you very much for being here. But also, it is, I think, a true indication of all of our interest to address this thing called climate change and resolve how we talk about resolving our issues, especially for all of us this morning, what to do about the oceans and climate change. So thank you, President, for welcoming everyone today. And as you know, this is an event that is convened by the governments of Palau, government of Kiribati. Unfortunately, the Kiribati delegation is delayed, and I think they're arriving tomorrow, in collaboration, of course, with the Pacific Island Forum Secretariat and the OPOC office. So this is a moment as Pacific Oceans Commissioner to reflect really as the first COP as the Pacific Oceans Commissioner, or in the role of the Pacific Oceans Commissioner, who's been tasked by leaders of the forum to advocate for the issues that impact our oceans and the livelihoods of all of us in the Pacific. In this challenge or this fight, this road and journey that we as Pacific Islanders are going to take in order to see that the great work undertaken for centuries, really, by our peoples through traditional knowledge in safeguarding our resources, the health of the oceans, is going to be maintained throughout humanity, because this huge thing called climate change stands in the way of all of us. You know, we, along with 79 or 97,000 other participants, traveled here to COP28, to all wanting to have a say about what to do about the oceans. And I said to my team, I think, let us not be left behind. Let's be part of that conversation wherever we can be. Let's inject ourselves into that conversation. Let's leverage on these global processes and to make sure that however small our voices are, that we still be heard at the global level, that we share the challenges that we face on our oceans, because the reality is that we haven't come here empty-handed. As I have alluded to earlier, we have come here having done so much for the oceans, for our communities, for our resources, to make sure that climate change does not in any way change the way that we have lived and that we have known the relationship with the oceans for centuries. So it is, for me, quite a humbling moment. The weight of the responsibility is obviously not lost to all of us. And what we need to do is to be strategic as we move forward. Of course, we've had, we come and speak to partners about partnering in projects, partnering in supporting the Pacific initiatives on oceans and climate change, and all of this. We are looking for genuine partnerships. We want partnerships that are mutually beneficial, long-lasting, meaningful, and responsive to the needs of the Pacific in the oceans. The other thing I wanted to say was that consistency and making sure that the message is not lost, but that there is long-term strategic approaches. Now, each year we go to the COP, we hold a side event, or we convene a meeting, and then when the COP ends, we pack our bags, we put our notes away for that event, and then do something else in the intersession. And then when the next COP comes around, we prepare for another side event, and so forth. So you see, the strategy here is to be more forward-looking and to look at ways in which we can have some consistency in our messaging that would support the cause for our oceans. So this is, where is that? A voyage between COP28 to COP31. I think you know why we targeted COP21, as the President had said, and we are all behind you, Australia. See? To do that, so that we have a target, so that we are not we are not doing things in isolation, but we have a longer-term target to be there. And I think that this approach is a little bit more strategic than if we were to come every COP, do something different, pack up, go back, come back the other COP and do something else. If we have a consistent messaging about what we want, I think we have a lot of friends that are here who will be willing to partner with us. And so this strategy is intended to provide that linkage or that long-term vision that if we do this in a more structured, strategic, innovation, outside the box type of thinking, that we will be able to generate that type of support and also understanding from those who we want to take a little bit more action. Because recently, the leaders had adopted the 2050 strategy, and then in the Cook Islands, the implementation plan. As part of, in fact, a response to these skirts that we call climate change. And we look forward to the implementation of the 2050 strategy. And glad to see Secretary General here supporting this event as well. And then also to all of our partners who are in the room. So with that, moderator, sorry I ran out of time a little bit, over time a little bit, but thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Manoni. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you have an idea, a strategic setting of where the vision of the Pacific is headed towards an integrated Blue Pacific that brings together knowledge and initiatives and at the national level and subnational level in one cohesive setting that could be ready by COP31. So thank you very much for bringing scale to ambition and for lifting the Pacific's ambition even higher. With that, it's my great honor to invite Honorable Esa Inu, the Minister for Natural Resources of Niue and Pacific Islands, Pacific Champion for Gender Equality and Social Inclusion. And Minister Inu, you have the floor from one of the smaller states in the world, one of the most significant and powerful measure of where scale and ambition can be in the protection and conservation of ocean. Minister, you have the floor.
If you don't mind, I would like to take a seat. Thank you. I think I really like to see everybody's faces. And I've walked thousands of miles this week. So I think it's only fair that I swam a little bit this morning, but got lost. So now I'd like to take a seat. Galopalahiatu, Kedo Tolosi, President Webb, Galopalahiatu, all the dignitaries here this morning. And someone asked me the other day when I came to the pavilion, the Moana Pavilion, why are you people not so ambitious with what you're calling for? And I nearly took a swing because, we are far away. Because why would you ask me that? We go to COP, we go to a lot of conferences, and we talk until we show the data, we show the reports of why we are ambitious. For us in Niue, and I'm as President Webb has alluded to his speaking notes, I will refer to mine, but I think I'll close it because I like to talk as a mother. For Niue, as everyone knows, we are a very small nation, but in a huge ocean real estate. And we talk about, I'll talk about my experience, but I do a lot of work in the fisheries space. We, in the Pacific Ocean, host the largest percentage of tuna stock, largest percentage of a lot of fish, a lot of aquatic food security is in the Pacific. So why could we not ask for assistance? Why could we not ask people to come and experience that with us? We are such a beautiful region. So Niue, through a couple of women sitting around a table drinking coffee at one stage, decided, and one honorary woman, I won't mention his name, but anyway, came up with an idea that we should help ourselves find a sustainable mechanism to invest or to manage what we have as the ocean space. So came up with this idea to create a conservation marine protected area. So in 2017, Niue went to the global community and committed and announced 40% of its EEZ, exclusive economic zone, as marine protected area. And that includes one of the only other reef that we have called Beveridge Reef. And if you ever have a chance to go and visit this reef, it's the most beautiful thing on earth, I promise. And in this area, it's quite far from where we are as Niue's biodiversity. So it's quite far. We need a lot of manpower. We need a lot of money to travel there. We need to obviously invest in trying to monitor, which is one thing that is very difficult for us. Monitoring and surveillance is very difficult, as we all know from the Pacific, because it's such a vast area. So we gratefully appreciate what our partners are doing in helping us in that space. But at the end of the day, we are having a lot of issues with the oceans. We're seeing a lot of acidification. We're seeing a lot of issues with coral bleaching. We're losing a lot of food security. And we can only bring that data in reality if you experience it. I have a 12-year-old. I've taught her to swim the ocean, to forage, because I'm an old woman and she's 12. What if I pass away tomorrow? And so we go to the sea a lot. We fish, we snorkel, we dive for food security. But we're finding with climate change, we're getting further and further away. The sea is even worse. It's warm. A lot of the aquatic species that we normally collect are no longer there. And she started at 9 years old. Now she's 12. Last year at COP, I told her story. We go to the sea and she says, Mom, why are these things dead? Why is the coral gone? Where's all the sea urchins that we normally get? They're white. I said, it's because the sea is, the water is warming up. Why? Because there's a lot of toxic gas in the atmosphere, and it's warming up the planet, it's warming up the water, and it's killing all of this. But why? As a mother, you want to fix everything. Everything has to be correct for your children. But how can you fix something that you have no control over? So, and she said to me, hey, maybe you can invite those countries, the ones who are doing all these bad things, to come. Maybe they'll feel sorry for us and stop what they're doing. That's from a 12-year-old. Anyway, we have exposed all our children. We have a huge campaign on climate change, starting at primary school from 5 years to 10 years before high school. We teach them down at the sea because real experiences is what we need. We need our young ones to feel, to see, so they can also experience what we are trying to teach them in real life. Reality is for us, we're dying in the Pacific. I go to Kiribati. I see 60,000 people living in a small space because some of the islands are submerged. I see people living with animals because there's such a small space. I have to walk from there on top of everybody's patios or decks to get to the other side of other people's. That's really such a sad story, but it is reality for us. So these two women with the honorary woman came up with the idea to have this mechanism called Ocean Conservation Commitment. And it is a funding mechanism to help us, help our children, help us monitor and have surveillance on our own EEZ. We have 127,000 square kilometers of the marine protected area in which we are calling on the global community to help sponsor one credit, which is per annum is $12.50 New Zealand dollars. That is $12.50. That's like a cup of coffee for us in the morning. And then we have spanned it out to 20 years, which is equivalent to $250. That is, I think, one night of accommodation here for me in Dubai or even more. So I asked for such a small amount to help us, and we are hoping, and we're very confident that the Pacific, as President Webb from Palau and Prime Minister of Tonga also have also in the last few days mentioned also what they're trying to do. We want the whole of the Pacific and all the SIDS to replicate what we are doing. So basically this funding mechanism goes into a trust that allows us to draw on having giving opportunities to our people, creating scholarships for our young kids, learning marine life, learning about the biodiversity, because we have a lot of big countries here also calling to phase out fossil fuel. But for us in the ocean, we can't drive anywhere. We can't drive if we're drowning. You have to learn to swim. So when you're calling on these countries to reduce fossil fuel, to reduce their emissions, reality is for us, we haven't done anything wrong. In the Pacific, we have not done anything wrong to make us create these innovative ideas, to make us fight for our children, to make us come every year to COP and cry and cry. And then I hear some of the leaders said, you should call us out, push back, push us. Push you where? We have been pushing, we have been crying. As a mother, I want my 12-year-old to have hope that I leave COP28 with hope that there is a positive outcome for all of us, for the ocean. If I could live in the ocean, I would. I hate the land because it's hot. It's got flies and mosquitoes. No, I do love the land, though. But if I could live in the ocean, I would. So I hope that our development partners, our dialogue partners are hearing us, and presidencies of future COPs. And I'm really praying for Australia COP to come, COP31. And I'm sure a lot of our people are praying too, but also to call on Australia. When you do win, you do get COP31 to Australia, make sure you bring some of those activities to the Pacific so they can come and see. Because a lot of the people that are talking in this space have not been to the Pacific, have not seen what a beautiful region it is. We are an abundance of vibrant, beautiful people, beautiful culture, beautiful tradition, beautiful oceans. Go ilahi.
Thank you so much, Minister. Very, very powerful. So with that, if I can invite the panelists to join us in front, and we have a panel to reflect on some of the challenges and issues raised. First, if I can invite the Special Envoy for Ocean, Ambassador Peter Thompson, please, any of these seats, and Fiji's Ambassador to Indonesia and Lead Climate Negotiator, Ambassador Yuvoli, and Australia's Ambassador for Climate Change, Ambassador Kristin Tilley, please. And Mr. Walter Schutz from Ecuador, the climate negotiator. So to kick us off, and they have 2 minutes each. First, Peter on Ambassador Thompson, sorry, recognizing the importance of building national, regional, and cross-regional ambition for ocean action to help our global climate agenda. Peter, over to you.
Okay, 2 minutes. Gee, I've got so much I want to say to you guys, but okay, I'll just do it as bullet points. Firstly, all courtesies observed, and President, fantastic COP really for us when you look at loss and damage, and when you look at the $225 million which you facilitated out of Jeff and Bezos Ocean Fund. So congratulations on that. But are we winning the war? No, and not. The oil and gas industry is definitely winning the war, and so we just have to keep fighting. Look, it's a process, okay, bullet points. Process. COP31. Don't imagine it's easy for us to get that. Australia is part of WEOG. Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. They're the only non-Europeans involved. And they always have a hard time winning nominations in WEOG. And they often lose. And this idea of tying up with the Pacific Island countries is a winning ticket. But Turkey's put their name on the thing. I don't want to boast, but Fiji, myself, we never have lost an election at the UN in the last 10 years. And Penny's walking out of the room there because he was one of the guys involved in that fight. We won everything, whether it was the presidency of ISA or was presidency of G77 or presidency of UNDP board or presidency of... We won all those against heavy competition from big countries. Why? Not because we had any special qualities. It was because we had the backing of PSIDS, the Pacific Small Island Developing States. And once you had that, then you went to IOSIS, and PSIDS had to have their fair share of IOSIS. And so now you've got 34 countries just in the bag. And then you go to G77, which is 134 countries at the United Nations, say, hey, we're the Small Island Developing States. We demand our share. We're always backing you guys. You back us now. Now you've got 134. That's how you win elections at the United Nations. And so this is a tough fight, and we've got to give Australia all the help we can if they're going to get it in COP31. So as I said, it's a process, and don't imagine that we're winning this fight. But the good news is there's so much more money around now, and we proved that the other day, Mr. President. But we should be demanding this money. There are ways of funding our MPAs. There are ways of funding our transition to renewable energy which weren't there before. So let's grab that money and put it to use. I think we could lead the world in the use of electric outboard engines. All of us have been sitting around, sucking benzene to get into outboard engines all our lives. Those days have got to be gone. At the end of every one of our village jetties, there should be solar panels providing the energy into batteries where we just plug in at the end of the day. I'm getting the wind up here from my successor at the United Nations as Fiji's ambassador, so I have to take his instructions. But I'm sitting next to another Fiji ambassador here, and he calls me Tambusoro, which means never surrender. And I think the big thing about this process that we're all in is, it's still going to be going on when our grandchildren are here sitting fighting this fight, because the oil industry is not going away. But we have to keep the fight going, because we've got to drive that oil and gas back to where it belongs, which is under the ground, and we have to have our energy from the sun and the waves and the wind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter, and to Ambassador Tilley. Next, Ambassador Tilley, you have the floor.
Thanks very much, and distinguished guests, President Whips, Secretary-General Puna, ministers, colleagues. Look, I guess the question posed to me in this discussion was how can we ensure partners remain engaged in ongoing ocean action? I will come to that, but just to reflect on a lot of the discussion that's happened already. And I guess when you started, President Whips, with sort of terrestrial-based climate responses, forests in particular, have had really a head start in COP and discussions for decades. People have been talking about carbon sinks on land for decades, and oceans are very much behind, probably by a couple of decades, in the focus and the discussions and the solutions that are coming here. And I was trying to think why that's the case. But I guess what kept coming into my mind was what we've seen, particularly over the last year, are these really increasing scientific warning signs coming from oceans. So we're seeing much more rapid levels of sea level rise, particularly in the Pacific, than were previously predicted. We saw, I remember this year, these series of charts that kept coming through every month, one of which would show the significant increase above average of sea surface ocean temperatures globally. And then what you'd see next was this chart that showed the significant lack of Antarctic sea ice for the time of year as well. These things are directly connected. They're all about climate change. And I think we are seeing the start of these really urgent warning signs for the oceans that give us a great platform to keep this advocacy and keep pushing as you are. We're also seeing Pacific leadership as we do, at these forums. And so I think from what the PIF's doing at a regional level, what you as individual leaders of your nations are doing, and what, as you spoke to, Minister, is happening at a community level around coffee discussions has to keep happening through, Pacific leadership that we all know really well, but that we have to, your comment when someone said, why isn't the Pacific speaking up? And I thought, are they not going to the discussions that, Australia gets the benefit of being in all the time because we hear it? And you're spot on. We need the rest of the world to hear it. And that is exactly what was behind Australia putting its hand up to host COP31, because we hear it, we know it, and we want to bring the world to also hear it. Your point, Ambassador, about it's a winning bid and there's a way to bring the world's sort of numbers behind it makes perfect sense if there was a vote involved, which there's not. And that's the difficulty in working out how to secure the COP31 bid. There's not a voting process. WEOG tells us you and Turkey sort it out. I won't go into private discussions, but we haven't sorted it out yet. And that's the difficulty in moving forward. Just for us, I guess, One of the things that was happening a lot this year after Australia put up its hand and said we're bidding to host COP31 in genuine partnership with the Pacific, and we're extremely grateful for the unanimous support from all Pacific Island Forum member countries for that, is sometimes when we were travelling around and talking to other governments, they would say to us, so what will COP31 focus on? And we have said, we will discuss that and agree that. Should we be successful in winning the bid, we will discuss that with the Pacific before we say, as Australia, this is what it will focus on. But oceans does seem like a logical and obvious answer. The warning signs, the leadership I talked about, but oceans are what connect us in the Pacific and indeed connect just about every country. So don't take this as a formal Australian position, because we want to win the bid and then we want to consult and have a Pacific agreed view, but it does strike me that oceans need to be front and centre. So I think you're right in line there. I will just very quickly answer that question about how can we ensure partners remain engaged. I think it's as many of the panellists have said, and in particular Dr. Manoni, about we need a strategic plan and we have a 3-year runway. So what are all those key milestones? CHOGM, SIDS conferences, UNGA, the 2 COPs before COP31, how do we keep building the agenda on that 3-year runway? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Tilley. And with that, if I can invite Mr. Walter Schultz from Ecuador.
The microphone's passing my way, so a quick retort to the ambassador. Quick retort to the ambassador. We all have bilateral relations with Turkey. You can leverage that.
Morning, Excellency, all protocol observers. Very quickly, just to bring the perspective from the other side of the world, I had the privilege to be to Pacific, to Fiji COP. Actually, at that time, I was chair of the G77 in China, so we really brought that perspective from the Pacific together to join really all the strength of developing countries. But just to bring the case of the other side of the Pacific, in this case Ecuador, we really think that ocean has been a growing road in COPs, and that's been a tremendous effort, not only in terms of bringing everybody together to focus their attention on oceans and the importance and commit to those changes, but also to bring our own examples, leading examples at the national level or regional level. In our case, the most beautiful example that we brought was in Glasgow with a new marine reserve announced by the President of the Republic in Galapagos to expand Galapagos Marine Reserve, and then the declaration that we signed in Glasgow together with Costa Rica, Colombia, and Panama. That corridor, that the Pacific East tropical corridor, will be or is already perhaps the largest marine area that will be is not yet a formal protected area. It's a voluntary corridor, but we are in the process towards putting it into a legally binding instrument. We're in that process. But the good thing is that already that area is also in the process to become a biosphere marine reserve under UNESCO, even bringing the new concept of transboundary ocean marine area. And the response from everyone, other states, international financial organizations, even philanthropy and NGOs, has been so positive that we have commitments up to $100 million in terms of contributions for the implementation of the protective measures that we have for the corridor. Just to bring that example, with the same that we are so connected from the ocean, and that also could lead to, while we work in COPs and all the support already for Australia and Australia Pacific COP, we can also have achievements such as even debt swaps. We did with Finnish as Ecuador with the Galapagos Marine Reserve, the new Marine Reserve. We achieved only this year the largest debt swap for nature, saving $1,100 million and creating a new fund of $400 million for the conservation of that marine reserve. So this can be done while we work on the global action as well for the oceans. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Yevoli, can you hold on to the mic? And it's my great honor to welcome the Minister for Environment and Energy of Costa Rica, Honorable Franz Tettenbeck. If you can please, short 2 minutes, Minister.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here in accelerating ocean action, the climate building a sea lane between COP28 and COP31. About CIMAR, a little bit more like my colleague from Ecuador was explaining. CIMAR was born in 2001 when Costa Rica and Ecuador signed a joint presidential declaration to study the creation of a corridor that will ensure the connectivity of the species between Cocos Island, a Costa Rican island, and the Galapagos Island. Then in 2002, it proposed to create the Galapagos-Malpelo-Cocos Marine Island Triangle, and in April 2004, the Declaration of San Jose was signed, officially creating what is now known as CIMAR and establishing the core areas of this initiative. The Eastern Tropical Pacific Marine Corridor, which is a very long name, CIMAR in short, which encompasses marine management areas of 4 countries with their core areas: Costa Rica with its Cocos Island, Colombia with its Malpelo and Gorgona Island, Ecuador with Galapagos Island, and Panama with Coiba Island. So nations that are not necessarily neighbors on land now are neighbors on the sea. This cluster of marine management areas, the largest of its kind, has an extension of 500,000 square kilometers, with an impressive area rich in biodiversity. In the case, the portion that we're contributing to the area, it has already protection measures and is protected. It's part of Costa Rica's 30 by 30 in the case of our declaration of protected areas. These 4 countries have increased their ambition by betting on a transboundary marine reserve, the first of its kind in the world, with the help of the UNESCO, NGOs, philanthropic corporation to achieve this goal, and it undoubtedly a great regional strategy for proper management of marine resources and their conservation. About the high-level event of ocean action, okay. I just would like to conclude that we have a high event on ocean action in Costa Rica in next year, 2024, which is a pre-event en route to the UNOC event in France, in Nice, in 2025. We'd like to invite you to this event. Make sure that you can come and that you identify people who could benefit. We're going to have, it will be centered about best practices in topics such as fishing resources, fighting ghost fishing, blue economy, satellite technology, and promoting global access to technologies for the ocean, scientific development, and the effective implementation of global agreements, among others. So we hope to count with your participation and their presence by bringing those examples of innovation to be best practices. We might leave a little QR note here or a card so that you can check us out and be there in June 8 and June 7 next year. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister, and we wish Costa Rica great success. And with that, a very short 1 minute, sorry, it's my colleague, so I can, Ambassador Yevoli, 1 minute concluding thoughts on the sea lane between here and COP31.
Yes, thank you, Satyendra, Excellencies and colleagues. Let me put my notes away. What is the challenge really before us? The challenge is to land oceans in the climate space. I think we are already there, but it's only 1/2 leg. We need the full body in there. So with the COP31, I hope that this milestone that we are targeting, we can be able to achieve that come COP31. I've been a negotiator for a number of years, and we started off these ocean discussions in 2017 in Samoa during the Pacific Island Forum Leaders Meeting. There was a small group of senior officials that went up to be a very big group. Then it became global, to start off these discussions. Now it is already in there, and I'm wrapping up now. And What we need to do now is let's work together. Let's put our differences aside and work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated to all the distinguished excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for sharing this moment. The Pacific always steps up, has tried to step up even further by demonstrating that through a sea lane by around COP31, and we wish Australia and ourselves great success in securing that, that it will largely be of a blue nature and will most probably be a blue COP at which both the climate and ocean nexus are locked in firmly and irreversibly. This really matters to the Pacific. It matters to the Pacific in such a profound way. If we lose the 1.5, and I will paraphrase President Whip, if you lose the 1.5, you might as well gaslight the whole of the Blue Pacific, pour petrol in it and set it on fire. The combined impacts of acidification, deoxygenation, warming will have, the combined impacts will make biodiversity and life inhabitable beyond that. So that is why this is so fundamental to COP31. From here, we wish the Pacific's leaders, its civil society, great success in firming up its vision, inspired by what is capable through collective action, as demonstrated in this example, that we bring an integrated, even bolder Blue Pacific proposal to the world to show how serious we are about protecting and conserving our ocean, and to show that we continue to make even greater outsized contribution on our part to the climate challenge. Thank you very much for this morning, and I wish you well. Vinaka, and to the man who pulled it all together, Penny, thank you very much for getting us all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Just the QR code that the Minister of Costa Rica mentioned, it'll be available here if you can, in case you want to have more. Thank you.
For the speakers and Secretary General, if you can join us for a group photo, please.